What's the worst excuse someone gave for not calling 911? My mother was clutching her chest and gasping for air when I arrived at the nursing home at 11 p.m. after she'd pressed her emergency pendant, but the night nurse blocked the doorway and said, "Residents cannot leave the facility between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. under any circumstances." "She's having a heart attack," I said, as my mother's gray face twisted in pain. The nurse didn't even turn to look. "State regulations require all residents remain on premises during night hours." I explained we'd missed the critical window for heart attack treatment, but she just pointed to a laminated sign on the wall about nighttime protocols. "Your mother signed the admission agreement acknowledging these rules." Other residents were gathering in the hallway as my mother groaned in pain. 5 minutes passed. I begged the nurse to reconsider while my mother turned pale and sweaty. "Please, her cardiologist said any chest pain means immediate ER," I pleaded. "Our on-call doctor reviews everything in the morning," she replied coldly. "Your mother can wait." I asked if we could at least call 911 for their opinion. Outside medical personnel aren't permitted during night shift. An elderly man in a wheelchair whispered, "My roommate had chest pains last week and they made him wait too." The nurse smiled. He passed peacefully in his sleep. 20 minutes gone. My mother vomited and another family arrived because their father couldn't breathe. Same story about regulations. The daughter was crying. "He has COPD." The nurse shrugged and returned to her computer. An hour passed. My mother was barely conscious. 3 more families showed up for various emergencies and were all told to wait until morning. One son started recording on his phone. "My dad's blood sugar is over 400. The nurse grabbed at his phone. "No recording allowed." My mother's roommate spoke up. "She never gives us our night medications either." The nurse's eyes flashed with anger. "Your mother's roommate is confused and doesn't remember taking them." Another staff member appeared from the back and whispered something urgently to the nurse about the morning count being off again before noticing us watching. 2 hours had passed. My mother's lips were turning blue. I pulled out my phone to call 911, but the nurse said, "Call them and your mother gets evicted tomorrow." That's when I knew something was deeply wrong here beyond just protocol. I finally stood up and announced, "I'm taking my mother to the hospital right now." I lifted her from the wheelchair, but the nurse pressed a panic button and a massive security guard blocked the exit. "Nobody leaves during my shift," he growled. That's when I grabbed the fire extinguisher from the wall and smashed it through the window, setting off the ear-piercing fire alarm. Glass shattered everywhere and red lights started flashing as the automatic system alerted the fire department. Within minutes, firefighters arrived and I screamed, "Multiple medical emergencies and they won't let us leave." The fire captain immediately called for ambulances while the nurse insisted it was a false alarm. Paramedics rushed to my mother and quickly confirmed she was in active cardiac arrest. "How long has she been like this?" the paramedic demanded. "Over 2 hours," I said. "They wouldn't let me take her." His face went dark. "She needs immediate intervention or she won't make it." They stabilized my mother while discovering 4 other residents in critical condition who'd been waiting until morning. The fire captain demanded to see the facility's licenses, and the nurse stammered that they were locked in the office. When he called the state hotline, he announced, "This facility isn't licensed for overnight care without a medical professional." My mother survived, but the cardiologist said another 20 minutes would have been fatal, and showed me how her enzyme levels indicated she'd been in distress for hours. He'd written letters requiring immediate ER access for her cardiac symptoms. Armed with his statement and the paramedic reports, I returned to the nursing home the next morning. The nurse was at the desk like nothing had happened. I placed the cardiac enzyme report on her desk. "My mother was dying for 2 hours while you played solitaire." Her smile vanished. "I was following protocol." I pulled out my phone. "Actually, I recorded you telling that other nurse to make sure the morning count matches this time while my mother was dying." The administrator came rushing out, but I said loudly, "Everyone should know this beach has been signing death certificates for residents who were still alive." The nurse went white. "You can't prove that." "The DEA already did," I replied. "They found morphine from 11 dead residents that was supposedly used months ago." They arrested the nurse and her security guard for drug trafficking and felony murder 3 hours later.